sort of like on the same page are either addicted to things or they're on medications because they've been diagnosed as having some kind of mental illness, though, I don't think they're mentally ill.
Right. So often that's the case, is that they've just been overly sensitive and open, and then they didn't fit in to, the lower frequency family they were in or the culture that they're in. But one thing you can do, is just keep telling people your stories. And from a point of view,
that's really hard to do. I'm just now pulling out of my isolation and trying to reach out. And let me tell you, I've asked clergy members, I've asked a lama, I've asked psychics, and nobody seems to be able to help. You're one of the first people that actually seems to have more information.
Well, I always think all these things are actually normal human gifts. And it's very important for you to not think of yourself as abnormal in any way, but to think of the other people as more abnormal because they've forgotten, what you've remembered. So that's why I say it's part of this thing of taking on the role of being a teacher or a leader. At least you stand out and you've had amazing experiences that you can share enthusiastically with others, and they will say, gee, why don't I have those kind of experiences? Just recontextualize.
May I ask a couple things? I'm sorry. May I ask a couple things? I know we don't have much time.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Number one, what does it mean when a psychic tells you that you're pure light? Number two, what does it mean when angels tell you that you should stop sleeping, only drink spring water, and instead of sleeping you should meditate? I speak to angels every day.
Okay. So that's a way that you get your own information. It's like my inner perceiver. You're using
I do the inner perceiving thing too.
Okay, good. Well, I think everybody is pure light. So for one thing, maybe you're just letting yourself be. So whether it's somebody tells you from the outside world or whether you tell yourself on the inside world, if you're noticing that message about pure light, you're giving that message to yourself. So you're trying to remind yourself, hey, I'm made of light. Okay. Now, that means that if I want to bring my frequency up, maybe I need to meditate more, drink clear water, clean myself out a little, and maybe I don't need to sleep as much. Just to be more conscious. Sometimes I find myself awake in the middle of the night, not really even stressed. You could call it insomnia or think it's a problem, but recently I've just been letting myself be awake when I'm awake and saying I must be awake for a good reason.
If I do it for more than a couple of days, I actually feel like I could go on forever with no sleep. Mm-hmm. That I no longer feel like I need to sleep.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, what I feel...
Sounds a little strange.
Well, what I feel is it's important not to make any rules. So that if this week you feel like you could go without sleep, fine. But then that may shift. Remember, we're on waves. We go in and out and up and down and on and off.
Yeah, I feel like a bottle that's tossed in, on ocean waves sometimes. Yeah. I don't like that.
Well, the image I've had lately is that I'm riding on a flying carpet, laying on my stomach, peeking over the front edge. And it's going up and down and over and around, and I'm just watching and seeing the view. I'm not voting on it. I'm just letting it go. So there's nothing right or wrong with what you're doing. Just let yourself do it. And then if it changes, let yourself change. But stay in the flow with it is what I'm saying.
And how important is being positive about all of this? Is it critical to the whole equation?
Of course it is, because you want to believe in yourself. You want to let the soul's wisdom come through you. And you have to trust yourself. And staying positive, is a way that you can build trust.
What about self-doubt? Does that screw it up?
Totally.
Roseburg, Oregon. Cody, it's your turn on Coast to Coast. Hi, Cody.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, Cody. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, a couple months ago, you had someone on your show about, who wrote a book about the Get High Now, and one of the things you had in there was the eating cheese to make you have dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, I started doing that, and as I was doing that, I kind of noticed the dreams I was having kind of started coming true a little bit, you know? Like I was getting more connected, and I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
Okay.
I missed the first part of that. Would you say eating cheese?
He was eating cheese.
Okay.
There are some foods that induce your dream state, and I guess cheese is one of them.
Well, I haven't heard that one, but
That's why mice dream so much.
Oh, I see. Well, certainly strange foods can have an effect on your sleep cycles, and but I'd never heard of cheese. But you're saying that you're having precognitive dreams, or
He's having that now. So whether it's the cheese or not, who knows? But that's what's happening to him. And you've become somewhat of an expert with dreams, haven't you, Penny?
Well, yeah. I've written 2 books on it and a whole dream dictionary also.
Do you interpret?
Yes, the Dream Dictionary for Dummies. I have 2 dummies books. But I think that we go through cycles of different kinds of dreaming. For instance, Cody, you may dream precognitively for a while or have things actually start manifesting. And then you may kind of go out to a higher dimension and dream out at a more abstract level for a while, where sometimes you don't remember your dreams when the consciousness goes out to that higher level. And then other times you may come in and dream in the emotional zone, and have a lot of kind of highly symbolic, crazy symbols in your dreams, Because I think we travel constantly through the dimensions in the dream world and even in the waking. When we're awake, we space out, we come back. So, but I do think there are cycles.
Let's go to Cincinnati, Ohio. Jen, you're up with us on Coast to Coast. Go ahead, Jen.
Yes, hello. I have a quick story and 2 questions if time permits. Where intuition saved my life and saved my unborn baby's life, I was driving in a car, and when people have died in my family, and I haven't known it yet, I'll see in like my mind's eye like this gold shimmer. And this had happened to me while I was driving. I'm like, oh, who died? What's going on? And I was just calm down. And I was coming up on an intersection, and I was 6 months pregnant. And it was about a quarter of a mile off, and it was November 19th. And my little girl starts moving around sporadically inside of me, and I'm like, I say out loud, what is it? What's up? And I come up on the intersection, and it's a green light. But I made the choice to listen to my intuition, and I slowed down. And I had just enough time. This truck was coming at 55 miles an hour, and would have killed us both. Mm-hmm. Just enough time to turn out of the way of this truck. And 2 quick questions.
and let's take those, Jen. We're going to take your questions when we come back after the break for you. As a matter of fact, there'll be final questions with our guest, Penny Pierce, author of The Intuitive Way and Frequency. So when we come back, we'll go right to Jen in Cincinnati, Ohio on Coast to Coast AM. Well, next hour, weatherman John Coleman joins us as we talk about climate change on Coast to Coast AM. When we come back, we'll take your final phone calls with Penny Pierce on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast. We've got Penny Pierce with us. Penny, do you go on to many speaking engagements or anything like that?
Yes. This year I've been on the road almost all year.
Do you like it?
Yes, I do.
Good. Next up, let's go back to Cincinnati, Ohio. Jen, go ahead with your 2 questions.
Yes, hello. Also, I wanted to ask you what your take is about UFO dreams. I never had them in my life, but they started last Christmas Eve with my first one. And through this past year, I've had quite a few vivid ones.
Are they positive in nature?
They're shocking, really. And a couple of them were kind of eerie.
Well, I think there can be different levels of UFO dreams. At the higher level, the UFO, like a mothership or being on a ship or something, is almost like a state of collective consciousness where a lot of beings are grouped together in a circle.